Okay, next we move to production cost curve and revenue curve. Okay, this is their table of quantity versus price, which is it has total revenue, marginal revenue, total cost, marginal cost, and average cost. Okay, from this we can make a graph like this to show that their average cost, marginal revenue, and their revenue in 80 quantity. Okay, from this graph we can see that at PO, this PO, okay, the monopolistic competitive firm shown in this figure is making a positive economic profit. This is clear because if you follow the dots line above Q0, you can see that the price is above average cost, which is this is their average cost. Okay, this is their average cost. This is their average cost. Okay. Positive economic profit attract competing firm to the industry, driving the original firm's demand down to D1. Yeah, that is when they are D curve D1. D curve D1. Okay. At new equilibrium quantity P1, okay, P1 and Q1, P1, Q1, and P1 and Q1. Okay, the original firm is earning zero economic profit and entry into the industry cases. In B, the opposite occur. At P0 and Q0, the firm is losing money. If you follow the dots line above Q0, this Q0, you can see the average cost is above price. Losers induce firm to leave the industry. When they do, demand from the original firm rise to D1, which is this demand curve 1. Okay, so where once again the firm is earning zero economic profit. Next, revenue curve. Okay, the curve is graphically represent the relation between the marginal revenue and the quantity that received by a monopolistic competitive firm for selling its output and the quantity of output sold. Because a monopolistic competition firm is a price maker and face a negatively sloped demand curve, its marginal revenue curve is also negatively sloped and lies below its average revenue. This is their marginal is lower than their average revenue. A monopolistic competitive firm maximize profit by producing the quantity of output found at the intersection of the marginal revenue curve and marginal cost curve. Monopolistic competition is a market structure with a large number of relatively small firms that sell similar but not identical product. Each firm is more relative to the overall size of the market such that it has some market control but not much. In other words, it can sell a wide range of output at a narrow range of price. This translates into a relatively elastic demand curve. If a monopolistic competitive firm wants to sell a larger quantity, then it must lower the price, but not by much. Okay, the marginal revenue curve reflect the degree of market control held by a firm. For a perfectly competitive firm, the marginal revenue curve is horizontal, which is perfectly elastic line. For a monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competitive firm, the marginal revenue is negatively sloped and lies below the average revenue demand curve. The marginal revenue curve, which is this MR, for Domino Pizza is displayed in the exhibit to the right. Key to this curve is that Domino's Pizza is a monopolistically competitive seller of pizza and thus face a negatively sloped demand curve. Larger quantity of output are only possible with lower price. The vertical axis measure marginal revenue, and the horizontal axis measure the quantity of output, number of pizza. Although quantity on this particular graph stop at 10 pizza, it could go higher. This exhibit displays both the marginal revenue curve MR and the average revenue curve AR, which is also the demand curve. Both are negatively sloped, but the marginal revenue curve lies below the average revenue curve, which means that marginal revenue is less than average revenue and price for any given quantity.
Okay, for the pricing strategy to maximize profit, since the market strategy for Domino's Pizza is monopolistic competition, so one of the pricing strategy for maximizing profit is through advertising. Then Domino's Pizza provide fast delivery service. In order to improve its value delivery process, it even brought in the pizzas are even brought in packaging to prove that their pizzas are delivered in hot and fresh condition. But in other cases, Domino's will provide coupon to their customer if their delivery is not satisfied or not on time. Other than that, Domino's Pizza also known for its low-cost outlets. It is one of the major cost components, making their business viable as compared to the rival Yum brands outlets. There is no outlet of Domino's which is premium design with plush interiors. Instead, the outlets promote faster consumption so that people can order, eat, and move on. Pizza Pizzas are promoted exactly for what it stands for as fast foods.
Okay, now let's move to short run. Okay, in the short run, the number of firms in the product group remain the same, so that the size of the plant of each firm remain unaltered. The firm, whether operating under perfect competition or monopoly, wants to maximize profit, and in order to achieve the objective, it goes to on producing a commodity. Uh, so as the marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, when MR equal to MC, it is set equilibrium and produce the best level of output. If a firm produce less than or more than MC equal to MR output, then it will then not be making maximum profit. And also in the short run, a monopolistically competition firm may be realizing abnormal profit or suffering losses. If it is earning profit, no new firm can enter the industry in the short run. In case it is suffering losses but recovering full variable costs, the firm will continue operating so that the losses are minimized. Okay, and then if the demand and cost situation are not favorable in the market, a monopolistically competitive firm may incur losses in the short run. Okay, the short run equilibrium of the firm with losses is explained by the help of this diagram. Okay, in this figure, marginal cost, which is SMC, equate marginal revenue MR curve from below at point Z. The firm produce output OK and sell at OF or KT per unit price. And then the total receive of the firm is OFTK. The total cost of producing output OK is equal to OEMK. And then the firm suffers a net loss equal to the area F, E, M, T. on the sale of OK output. Okay, now let's talk about equilibrium in long run. The difference between the short run and long run in monopolistic competition market is that the long run has new firm that can enter the market, which is especially likely if firms are earning positive economy profit in the short run. New firm will be attracted to these profit opportunities and will choose to enter the market in the long run. In contra, a monopolistic market have no barrier to enter, exist, and it's monopolistically competitive market. Hence, it is quite easy for the new firm to enter the market in the long run. As we can see, this is the graph for firm long run equilibrium situation in monopolistic market structure. Okay, as you can see, the entry of the new firm leads to an increase in the supply of differentiation product. Differentiation product which cause the firm market demand curve to left. As entry into the market increase, the firm demand curve will continue shifting to the left until it is just tangent to the average total cost curve at the profit maximizing level of output, as shown in the graph. At this point, the firm economic profit is zero, and there is no longer an initiative for a new firm to enter the market. Thus, the long run, the competition brought about by the entry of the new firm will cause each firm is monopolistically competition market to earn normal profit, just like the perfectly competitive firm. Okay, in other way, it is excess capacity. Unlike the perfect competition, monopolistic competition firm end up choosing a level of output that is below its minimum efficient scale, as labeled as point B in figure above, in figure 1. And the firm produced below its minimum efficient scale, it is underutilizing its available resources. Okay, then now let's talk about advantage and disadvantage of the market structure. Consists of monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly, and perfect competition. All these have the advantage and disadvantage. Okay, for number one is perfect competition. For perfect competition, it is said that the advantage is disadvantage is changes of consumer exploitation is very low in case of this type of market structure because when we compare because perfect competition seller do not have any monopoly pricing power. Okay, and hence they cannot influence the price of the product and charge higher than normal price from consumer. Okay, for next is very little or no advertisement expenses because the product are homogeneous, and if firm keeps the price as decided by the market force, then sale will automatically happen without company incurring huge publicity or advertisement expenses. Okay, next is the advantage is many buyers and seller, which is in this case the in this case it is said that it is price taker, which means the consumer can control the price of the substance or things that they sell. Okay, now let's talk about disadvantage. Disadvantage for number one is there is no initiative for seller to innovate or add more features to the product because in case of perfect competition, profit margin is fixed and seller cannot charge higher than normal price, which is prevailing in the market because consumer will move to other seller Hence, seller keeps selling standardized product at price fixed by market force of demand and supply. And then for number two is another disadvantage of perfect competition is that there are a very little barrier to entry, implying that any firm can enter the market and start selling the product. Hence, all firms can afford to be complacent because chance of losing market share to a new firm always loom over them. Okay, in the case of a perfect competition firm, which has the best location, is likely to generate more sales than firm, which is not located on prime location, and hence location playing is part rather than customer service of seller or product features in a limitation in perfect competition. Okay, for next is monopoly competition. The advantage of monopoly, it is market power, which is the firm can determine the price. Determine the price. Okay, next is one single seller. Okay, in the monopoly, since there is one single seller in the market, uh, it leads to economic of scale because all supply is concentrated at one place and lead to the big scale production, which is in turn leads to lower cost per unit for seller. And if the seller passes into the consumer, that consumer will also benefit from the lower price of product being available for consumption. And then next is have advantage in barrier to exit into entry, because other firm cannot enter the market easily, because it is said that a single firm owns a key resources, or government single firm the exclusive right, or the government give the exclusive right to produce goods. For example, is copyright. Okay, next is a natural monopoly, which is water supply, electricity. Only one firm can enter the market. Okay, for the disadvantage is the firm may resort to discrimination pricing, because there is the changing different price from different customer, which will lead to dissatisfaction among consumer, as same product will be priced differently for different market or consumer. Hence, there is no transparency in the case of monopoly. Okay, in monopoly also, uh, no substitution due to the lack of competition. In case of monopoly, in the absence of any company, there is tendency of the seller to be complacent, which is turn leads to seller selling low quality product and providing poor consumer service because the customer has no choice. So this is the disadvantage of monopoly. Okay, for oligopoly competition, first is the advantage is seller is the price maker. With only a few business, before that, oligopoly is a type of market structure that only a few business in the same label. Uh, in the same label. So the first advantage of oligopoly competition is seller is the price maker, because with only the few business offering product and service, it will be easy for consumer to compare and choose the best option of their needs. In other types of this market, it can be very challenging to truly look into the all thing offered by a huge group of company and then compare prices. Okay, next is it's generate high profit because there is only little competition in oligopoly. The business involved in it enjoy the benefit of bringing in huge amount of profit. Generally, the product and service controlled through this type of market are highly needed by a large majority of consumer. Okay, for next is it is offer better information, product and service. because along with the fair price competition among product also play a huge role in this market structure where every business would scramble to come out with best and latest item to attract the buyers or consumer. This same goes to the amount of information, advertising, and support offered to consumer. Okay, and also it's create competitive prices. As already implied, the ability to easily compare price business to keep their price in competition with their competitors. This is a great peak for consumer as price could continually go down. Okay, for the disadvantage, first is it offer fewer choices. In many cases, choosing the best brand in an oligopoly is like going for the least evil. This means that consumer have very limited option for the product or service they are looking for. So whether they are not satisfied with the product, they have to buy it because it is only fewer choices. The second is it make difficult for smaller entities to establish a spot in the market. For smaller enterprise and creative, the outlook for business in this type of market is grim, as also the extremely advanced and large companies have complete control over the market. This makes it nearly impossible for smaller or new entities to break into the market. Okay, and for the last one is it eliminates motivation to compete because generally companies in oligopoly become very settled with their ventures as their operation and profit are guaranteed. This means that they would no longer feel the necessity to create the new innovation idea. Okay, for the last one is monopolistic competition. Monopolistic, as I have shown before in question number 2 is the characteristic of monopolistic, and then in this part I will talk about advantage and disadvantage of monopolistic competition. Okay, the advantage, as we know that monopolistic competition is lack of barriers to entry. Because in such a market, one of its primary aspect is that there are lack of barriers to entry, which is a factor that cause difficulty for a new firm to enter the market. Hence, making it relatively easy for firm to enter and exit the market. This therefore ensure, at least in the long run, no single firm will find themselves with monopoly power to exploit customer due to the new entering firm to the market. And next is it is a differentiation product. One of the main positive to came out of a monopolistically competitive market is that is in order to be competitive firm which such a market please. A firm primary goals is to differentiate itself from others in order to gain greater costume that its rival competitive. Essentially, appealing to consumer, where consumer determine the good to produce with a market. With this, it is a provision of a greater choice and variety of product services for consumer to purchase from what they are needs, and they have a wider range of consumer choice as opposed to just a single choice. Okay, for the next is product and service quality. Okay, another potential merit of monopolistic competition is that of an incentive for firm to improve product quality in order to gain atau to get the economic profit atau maximum profit, which in some aspect related to the above point of some level. Okay, for next is consumer become more knowledgeable of product. a product externality from monopolistic competition and the intense advertising and marketing that accompany it is that due to the to firm trying to differentiate their product, and then consumer become more informed and aware of their option regarding such product and service, and then they gain an understanding of the unique features and expect that certain product have compared to others. Hence, with this come further competition as firm can recognize what consumer are wanting to a better degree. And then now let's talk about disadvantage. Disadvantage about monopolistic competition is they can be wasteful, which is a liable of excess capacity. A negative factor of firm that are in monopolistic competition is that they do not produce enough output to efficiently lower the average cost and benefit from economy of scale. And if they were uh, do this, they are reducing their economic profit as a result of marginal product being less than the marginal cost. Moreover, the funding and expense that goes into packaging, marketing, advertising can deem extremely wasteful on some level. And then next is it is allocatively inefficient. Because when we compare with perfect competition, it can be shown that some firm, particularly from the video above, that there is an element of allocation efficiency as the price is above the marginal cost curve. Less so in the long run due to more competition. As the demand curve is one which is downward sloping, this then implies the price has to be greater than marginal cost for a monopolistically competitive firm. Hence, it is allocatively inefficient as not enough of the product gets produced from society to benefit. And then they want more. However, this would force the company to lose money. And then that's all from us. And thank you.